Hi, we're Ariel,
And Michelle,
and we're
and
the
we're the
Board
board
Game
game
Tutors.
tutors.
Today, we're going to be doing just the basics for the Castle Panic expansion, The Wizard's Tower. Let's go ahead and get started.
All right. So here we have the board. It's the same board as the original game, but there's one major new component that goes in the middle of the board, and that is the Wizard's Tower right here. So it replaces one of the original towers from the game. So you'll have the other five regular towers, and then you're going to choose whichever part of the castle you want to put this tower in. It replaces one of those.
And you choose, you don't, it doesn't really matter. It's basically just your choice.
Yeah, you don't know where any of the monsters are going to show up, so you have no way to judge really where you should put it. So, in the previous version of the game, the objective was to simply have one tower standing in the castle by the end of the game. If you had at least one tower standing when all the monsters were gone, then you won. And that's still true. It can be any one of the towers, but a rather important secondary goal is to try and keep the wizard's tower as your remaining tower if you only have one, or at least keep the wizard's tower for as long as possible, because there are quite a few advantages that come with having the wizard's tower. And once the wizard tower is destroyed, it's kind of like you basically don't have the wizard on your side anymore, so he's not helping you at all. So you want to keep in mind trying to keep the wizard's tower as your one remaining tower if you're only going to have one tower left eventually.
So, basically, what happens in an expansion, which is basically an expanded portion of the game. So, in the original game, you had all the same monsters for the most part, and all the same basic cards that you could use to help you defeat those monsters. What the expansion, the Wizard's Tower, provides for this game is the fact that now you have a lot more variety in terms of what kind of monsters you have. Since there is so much variety, we're going to be saving all the monsters for another discussion video, another advanced concepts video in the future. But you also have plenty of cards to help you as well. So now we're just going to go over briefly everything that comes in the game that is new to the game. So, one very obvious new addition to the game is this little draw bag that has a nice black monster face on it, um, where you will be drawing monsters out of this bag. So in the past, the previous game, it did not come with its own bag, but now you can use this bag to shuffle up all the monster tokens to draw monsters randomly that will come up as you draw two monsters at the end of each turn. So now, instead of just making a big old pile on the table of all the different monster tokens face down, now you can stick it in this monster bag. What also is different about this game is in the past game, there were regular boss monsters. Now there are mega boss monsters. So as you can see here, there are six. One, two, three. One, two, three. Different mega bosses that come with this game. As you can tell, these are not the normal shape for monster tokens. Normal monster tokens are triangular. These ones are four-sided. These ones are five-sided. And as you can see, the five-sided ones have 5 hit points, as opposed to the maximum in the previous game of 3, and these ones all have 4 hit points. And so these mega boss monsters are significantly more difficult to defeat. Also, because the makers of the game knew some people might try to cheat and play the game in that particular way, like, oh, like I can feel this piece has 5 sides. You will never put these tokens, these have 4 sides. You'll never put these tokens into the bag. What you will be using are these triangular pieces, which mimic the shape of the regular pieces, and these tell you which Mega Boss monster you will be drawing at any particular time. So, we're going to go into the Mega Boss monsters more in depth later, but these are all the Mega Boss monsters that you have in the game. Also, in order to replace some of the monsters that you will be missing with this expansion, because part of the setup for the new Castle Panic Wizard's Tower expansion is removing some of the old tokens and putting in some new ones. You also have imps, basically to replace goblins in the previous game. You'll have a lot of these to draw from as a possibility, but these will never go into the monster bag, just like these will never go into the monster bag as well. These will go off to the side in a pile on their own. Also, because as you can see, there are dragons, there are chimeras, there are also flame tokens in the game. These ones, you can take them and place them onto structures, regular walls, regular towers, and the wizard's tower, as you can see right there. So flame tokens, because we have fire-breathing monsters in this game, your structures will get set on fire. We'll go over that more in another video.
There are also some ways that you can set monsters on fire, so
Yes, that as
that's
well.
helpful too.
So sometimes you can set a monster on fire by doing so. You take the monster and you just put the flame token on them in that particular way, as you can see. So you can set monsters on fire. You can set your structures on fire. Most likely your structures will get set on fire. So that's that. Also, so it can't all be bad stuff that happens to you. There are also other monster tokens that are added to the game, but we'll describe those in depth at another time. Here, as you can see, you get some more castle deck cards, and the only way that you can tell the difference that these came from the expansion, the Wizard's Tower, is the fact that if you look on the top left corner of this card, you can see there are purple gems, so they're special cards for the most part, and you can see right there it's a wizard's hat. So that's how you know this comes from the Wizard's Tower. So you'll get several beneficial castle deck cards that you can use to hurt the monsters and give you a little bit of an edge when fighting the new monsters that are hopelessly trying to obliterate your castle. And one of the most important aspects about the Wizard Tower expansion is, as we described before, you have a wizard on your side. So now, as you can see, you have a wizard card deck, or a wizard deck. This is not shuffled into the regular castle deck. These cards are added on their own pile on the side, and as you can see, they have the wizard hat symbol in the top left corner. And these cards are super powerful attack cards, defense cards, a variety of different types of cards. Most of them are attack oriented. And you will use these cards to take out the stronger monsters, to fight them off, to keep them at bay. So those were all the different components that come into Castle Panic, the Wizard Tower expansion. Now, we're just going to go over briefly, for the end of the video, how you set up a game of Castle Panic, the Wizard's Tower. So let me go ahead and brush all this aside for a second. So, when you make a match of this game, in the previous instructions that we showed you for Castle Panic, you would take 3 goblins, 2 orcs, and 1 troll, and put those on the board in any way that you would like in the archer ring. But in this game, what you would do is you would take all the monster tokens, you would put them all in this bag, aside from the mega boss monsters, like we showed you over here, and basically, and also the boss monsters and the regular effect tokens that come in the base game. So this troll mage, he's a boss monster from the base game of Castle Panic. This brown bordered monster token is an effect. So instead of doing the previous setup of 3 goblins, 2 orcs, and 1 troll, what you do is you leave these ones out, boss monsters and effects. So if you draw those, you just ignore them. And basically, you would draw 6 monster tokens from this bag, and then whichever monsters they are, new monsters, old monsters, whatever, as long as they're not boss monsters and they're not effects, you would take them and you would place them in 1 arc in each of the archer rings. So you would put one in 3 archer, 4 archer, 5 archer, 6 archer, 1 archer, I got out of order there, and 2 archer. So that is how you would set up the game normally, and obviously we didn't finish setting up the middle of the board, but the rest of this would be filled in. You would have walls in every spot, and also towers in all the spots that the Wizard Tower is not. So that's how you basically set up the new Castle Panic, the Wizard's Tower expansion for play, and you would also basically shuffle these wizard cards into the regular castle deck and put this wizard card pile on its own on the side. So that is how setup differs between the 2 games. So if you guys enjoyed the content of this video, and you would like to see more from the Board Game Tutors, please subscribe to our channel on YouTube and give us any comments, feedback, questions, concerns, and we would be happy to respond to those as soon as we possibly can.
All right, thanks so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video.
All right, bye everybody. See you next
Bye.
video.